where the ecosystem of South Korea is headed when it comes to scale-up economy, as well as some deep dives on some of the Metaverse startups that we've been selecting for you. So without further ado, let me welcome also my partner in crime here. We see Alberto Nitti, connected from Italy.
Hi, good afternoon.
Very good. So really the idea is to give a little bit of a quick introduction in the first few minutes of where we're headed, and then dive right into it. So Alberto, I will leave it to you to do a quick overview of where we stand, and also a little bit of introduction of Mind the Bridge as an organization, and so then I'll take over locally from here. So to you.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for hosting us, and welcome, warm welcome from Europe. If you can see from the next slide. Next. As Mind the Bridge, we are in a global organization. Actually, we define ourselves more than an organization, an innovation platform. We have headquarters in Silicon Valley, when we are born and raised. And then afterwards, we expanded our footprint across the globe. Obviously, we have a pretty strong presence in Europe, as well as, since a couple of years, also boots on the ground in South Korea and Seoul. By choice, we are focused on innovation, and by choice, we are vertical agnostic, meaning that we believe that today's innovation is not something that can be confined, something that can be narrow in a specific industries. Also because the innovation ways, the tech ways are more and more transversal. So by choice and by design, we decided to address innovation across multiple industries, because we believe that most of the industry, most of the companies nowadays have the same and face the same issues. We scout and look deeply at more than 5,000, even probably more than that, maybe 10,000 startups per year. And at the end, our goal is just very, very simple, to foster collaboration between the world of startups, the world of the starters, and the world of corporates. That are the big established company that at a certain point are in the need to embrace innovation and to move forward. That's how we work. As mentioned, if you go to the next slide, you see that our footprint is very, very international. And by the way, we are even expanding beyond that. And next, the work that we do on the ground is substantially to support large corporations, and also what we call the startup ecosystems, maybe government agencies, trade organization, to embrace innovation and to use innovation as to move forward, because we strongly believe that entrepreneurship and innovation are the way for modern ecosystem to move forward, to be able to cope with the challenges times we are in. This is an example of some large corporation we work with across the globe, and the support that we provide them ranges from scouting, so hunting innovation from all over the different ecosystem, because we do not believe that most of the time the solution of your problem might be found in your backyard. And most of the time there is a good solution for the innovation need that a corporation might have, but most of the time might be probably in another ecosystem. And obviously we take a deeper look at the ecosystem with a larger density of startup and scale-ups, the way we call them, the startup that move the first steps, for the first baby steps, and now are in the phase of becoming large organization. So scouting is definitely one of the activities that we run. We also support them in what is called the implementation, because then we strongly believe that we are driven by results, and results is bringing the innovation inside the house, inside corporation, and making it help this large organization to move forward and to innovate their processes, their product, their services. And so we measure and we support company implementing the pilot, that's what I call the proof of concept, POCs, as well as we support them in closing investment deals, and sometimes also M&A and acquisition deals. That's the work that we do. And then we have a strong part of our organization that is focused in being up to date and up to speed. We have a research part of our of Mind the Bridge that is focused on understanding what is happening outside in the different ecosystem. So we map ecosystem, and today, Mark and the team, we will present you our most recent report that also focused on South Korea, that we believe is an ecosystem that is really growing at warp speed. And then finally, we provide what is called advisory, a strategic advisory, obviously related to innovation. So we help corporations to understand what are the best ways to embrace innovation, ranging from setting up a venture client unit or corporate venture capital unit, understanding if a venture builder might be the right solution, understanding if an acceleration or corporate sector is still a viable solution after all these years, as well as also understanding if it makes sense to open an innovation outpost, innovation antennas is the most interesting ecosystem. And today we will have a session dedicated exactly to this topic, meaning Marco and a group of international corporations will discuss and will try to share insights if it makes sense or not to have an innovation outpost in South Korea. How we get all the knowledge that we believe we do have next? We do, first of all, navigating the ecosystem. The format that we use is called Scaleup Summit, and then you are living and breathing one of them, and meaning that we go in the different ecosystem. Before COVID, it was definitely more physical exercise. Then during COVID, unfortunately, we were forced to pause, but we also been blessed by the opportunity to explore the opportunity to move part of our activities into digital settings. And now we are going back to our old habits to moving to different ecosystem, but still maintaining the digital power that we have learned and experienced in the past few days. And so our journey, our annual journey called Scaleup Summit, is a journey across the different ecosystem. This year we started in the Middle East, in Dubai, in March. Then we moved to the old continent, Europe, in Barcelona. Then now we are in South Korea. In a month we'll be in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and then we close the year in London. And in London, beyond having a Scaleup Summit next, we will also have the opportunity to do one step further as we annually run next what we call the Corporate Startup Stars. This is something that we do since probably 2015. And the goal here is to try to understand what are the corporates, the corporation, the large corporation. We're looking typically for Fortune 500, Forbes 2000 companies. And the goal here is to try to understand which of those corporations are really performing in working with startups, which of those corporations are so-called startup friendly, but not for the good, just for the sentiment of doing some good, because we strongly believe that working with startups is the only way for this company to innovate. Innovation can no longer be managed internally, despite the size and the power of a single entity. But innovation today is a collective exercise that is managed through open innovation. And so through Corporate Startup Start, annually we try to identify what are the corporates that are really walking the talk and are really benefiting from the work with innovation. It's an annual context. Last year winner was Pfizer. 2 years ago we have MasterCard. And so this year we are still finalizing the ranking. Actually, the ranking is finalized, but you will have to wait up to December, specifically December the 6th, where in London we will announce which are the corporates that we believe are really making the difference in working with startups. And also the opportunity, so we'll be in London, December the 6th. This year, beyond the partnership with ICC, International Champions of Commerce, that are joining our mission since a few years and giving them their institutional support to be able to reach corporates from all over the world. Just for you to know, International Champions of Commerce is federating about 45 million corporates and small business across the globe. So I think it's the perfect partner for something like this. This year we also added a new partner, that is the economy, specifically the economy's impact, to give to this annual celebration event of Outpost. And just to complete the talk and then pass the mic back to you, Marco, if you go to the next slide, just to explain the processes behind Corporate Startup Stars. We annually dig into, through our team, all the Fortune 500, Forbes 2000 company, through different parameters ranging from internal organization, because we believe that innovation should be enabled and should be enabled by an organization that is able to cope with innovation, and particularly to cope with innovation coming from outside and put into practice. And as well as we try to identify the initiative, the models, and particularly the results that this company have achieved across the journey. And so we are able to identify a journey that typically bring a corporate from the starting point that might be different in time up to becoming what we call a corporate startup star. So that's the journey, and that's the journey that we also support as innovation advisory for helping corporate to get to the top by making the right steps to do in the right direction. Because one thing we know, that there are no known path to become a corporate startup stars, but definitely we know what it doesn't work, because we have seen many examples of attempt of trying to do this without the right ingredients. So that's the process that we've been following. I can move to the next one, and I think exactly. And so that's where we are, Marco. And I believe that now is up to you to explain what is up to in Seoul for today.
For the welcome there, I know what we have. Want to clap or so we can hear the people here, they're real humans. So we're going to start moving from this side of the world. I'm speaking Korean by now. And we're going to go ahead and start talking about some of the data that we have gathered from the market. So I assume you can see it now. Perfect. So back now, we're Scaleup Summit Korea. That's when we get started. So the idea is really to cover initially some data that we gather on a constant basis. In fact, we are a company that is very data driven. If you go to our website, you see a lot of reports, analysis, directories of how different ecosystems of startups are changing and evolving over time. This one in particular is about this very ecosystem that we've been following for a few years. So we're gonna cover some highlights. And again, this is the paper version of that report. I mean, we try to be green, so we strongly suggest to download the PDF version of it. But you know the marketing matters. So we also printed killed a few trees. And then the idea is to go straight into a deep dive of some of the interesting Metaverse startups that we have supported and selected to improve some of our local partners here, particularly the welcome. So welcome to the welcome as well. And then we're going to go and shift and go straight into some conversation with some of the corporates that are here invited. Some actually had a long trip to come here, so we welcome back into the real face-to-face environment. And we're going to have also a look then of how to find more challenges of corporates that we are driving now this matching platform that we represent. And we're going to finish with more specific conversations with some of the international corporates that have set up an outpost of innovation here in different forms, different shapes, different KPIs. So we're going to have a conversation with them with the idea really to share some of their insights also for a larger audience. A lot of corporates are connected and seeing this live. So that's the plan. And then 6 o'clock probably we're going to have some of the networking time. So all right, so let's get started. So tech Scaleup South Korea. A lot of data here, so I'm going to go straight into some of the numbers. And again, I recommend you to go and and download the PDF version because I think there are a lot of insights that we found particularly interesting also for us as an operator between corporates and startups. So this is probably just in a nutshell where the Korean ecosystem of startups stands. So we have 4 specific metrics that we keep adding and changing over time. One is what we call the number of scale-ups. Again, in our world, the definition of scale-ups is a startup that has raised at least $1 million. Okay, so totally subjective. Could be 10, could be 2.5. We decided to get for $1 million. That for Silicon Valley standards wouldn't be so much. For a lot of countries, would be a lot. So we had to set a bar to avoid all these super early stage startups. So that's just the number of up until our research was taken. The total amount of funds that have been raised is 48 billion. Again, it makes sense more and more if you start seeing comparisons with other countries. And then there are 2 other big metrics that we keep studying that we think are very interesting internal metric based on the size of the country and based on the size of their economy. Okay, so one is what we call the scale-up density ratio. That is a measure of how many scale-ups per population. And the other one is what we call the scale-up investing ratio. That is the amount of GDP that is being invested into venture capital and startups economy. So those are 2 measures that give a sense of how high in the priority of a country the scale-up economy is. Those are the 3 numbers I think are numbers that would definitely highlight, because I think the main message that we want to convey here. So number of scale-ups in the last since 2020 has increased by 35%, but most importantly, the total amount of capital raised by the startups has more than doubled since 2020, which is an astronomical, I think, measure. That's actually been driven by a number of significant IPOs. We're going to see a little bit more details about that. And obviously, we all know that 2021 will be remembered as a crazy year in good and bad. On the good side is that there were a lot of exits, a lot of IPOs. So here you see kind of the growth in the last decade a little bit more, a dozen years. In particular, you see how the peak of 2021 is significantly higher than any other year. And then obviously, we're not done with 2022. We know that 2022 is a different year for a number of reasons. Definitely, there is a readjustment of some of the craziness, honestly, of the valuations that happened in 2021. So it's not all negative. But still, we can see that the growth, in this case of Korea, is still maintained. Potentially, it's going to be a little bit less of fundraise because of the drought of IPOs that we are experiencing across the world. Actually, I think it's been the worst year so far in terms of IPOs around the world since the crash of the dot-com. But you can see here in the 2021, really the big increase driven by a significant number of IPOs, Coupang, the Kakao Bank, Kakao Pay, Yanyolia, etc., etc. So those are very significant events that have happened all together in this country. And so I think I put Korea in a map of a very interesting ecosystem for international investors like ourselves. Because this size of IPOs, some are local, so much happened through the NASDAQ and through the New York Stock Exchange, don't happen very often. And so I think this was the opening of a lot of interest from international investors are looking at a booming ecosystem. All right, now when it comes to comparative analysis of different countries, I think that gives you a good sense of where and how Korea placed compared to some other economies. Again, here you see a lot of measures. I'm going to go one by one to give you a sense, and then you can scroll through actually many more countries to compare, but it wouldn't fit here on the screen. But let's go one by one in the line. So the first line is the number of scale-ups. We already discussed that. The second line is the number of is what we call the scalers. So the companies, startups that raised at least $100 million. Raised, not valuation. And the second one, the one in gold color, is what we call the superscalers. These are not the unicorns, but there are companies, startups that raised at least $1 billion. So you would expect that the valuation would be much more than that. Valuation is changing all the time, as you know. So we try to stick with the money, that being raised, the money in the bank. The fourth measure is what is the total capital being raised, and then those two measures that we mentioned before. So the scale-up density ratio and the investment ratio. It's interesting to see just from these numbers how now Korea is being, in the full throughput is comparable to economies like Germany or France. So the more developed scale-up economies in Europe, if you see just by direct numbers, obviously there are entities or geographies like Israel or Silicon Valley where, in particular in the growth scale, there is no real comparison just because of the size. But if you compare apples with apples, it's very interesting how Korea has been increasingly moving up the scale. I think this is an extremely interesting chart that shows in a two-dimensional chart how different economies and different countries are moving over the years. So on the y-axis is the scale-up density ratio, so the scale-up per population. And on the x-axis, the investment ratio. So if you plot these two numbers on a scale, it's amazing to see how from 2020, South Korea, there was kind of in the pack of average, again, comparable to the Central Europe, really leapfrog and went all the way up and to the right and really closer in the direction of where the most developed economies in innovation, UK, US, and in particular, Israel and Silicon Valley that are outliers. But there's nothing else there. So it's not just the current position, but the movement, the delta that happened in the last couple of years that we think is particularly interesting. The last couple of data that I'm going to skip. So there's almost a 2% now of the GDP of Korea that is being invested into scale-up economy. And there is a 2.4 scale-ups every 100K inhabitants. That's the kind of the measure of the day. Where and how are these startups kind of configured back into the Korean ecosystem of startups? Kind of across the board. Here you can see in the lighter line is the number of startups, and the darker blue lines is the amount of funding that is being raised by industry vertical. Obviously, you can see a lot of digital media that is happening. The big e-commerce and retail and shopping in the capital raises specifically because of the IPOs. Coupon here, there's a big jump. Similar to the gaming industry, also that a very good year of last year. But you can see that is very much represented in all different verticals. We're going to talk about the Metaverse. The Metaverse is kind of a mix of a number of those verticals per se. So it's what we call cross-industry, but it's definitely something that we'll pay a little more attention. And here it comes. So Metaverse is, again, something that we think that Korea is playing a leading role for two reasons, actually maybe three reasons. They have a significant speed in internet connection. You live here, so you know. I live in Silicon Valley, sometimes I have a problem in getting the 4G, so forget the 5G. So there's still a big gap that you give for granted. The second element is that really there is a creative industry that you are all part of that is now being exported significantly across the arts, I have to say. So that's definitely a big piece of the Metaverse economy. And the third one, this is a land where consumer electronics is important for the future of consumer electronics. And again, Korea is historically and still at the present really as a leading edge of the most interesting and newer consumer electronics. So I think these three elements make it as a very fertile ground. And this is actually shown by, again, you'll find it in this report. We've done a deep dive study of where is the Metaverse economy moving and how's that played in Korea. And you can see here, I mean, we counted almost 100 and around 110 scale-ups on the Metaverse. Probably a few more that we're missing, but it gives a good sense of how that compares to other countries. A little bit more than 10 billion raised by these companies, and they have an average of a scale-up age of 6 years. The interesting part is that you see compared to the other number of the startups of the other verticals, then South Korea is much higher percent of how many of those have been today identified as a metaverse. So actually 3 times of the average in Silicon Valley, United Kingdom, and Europe. So there's definitely, we can see there's definitely really a push of the opportunities of the metaverse per se. Again, metaverse means a lot of things. Is a cross-vertical industry or implementation. So really, obviously, gaming and immersive tech are at the core of it. But we see implementation in all different industries. We're going to see some of the examples. Some, in fact, even more importantly, some of the companies that will be presented later are really a representation of how to apply metaverse technology into your own industry, where AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, and extended reality is at the core. I'm not going to go through that because it's our crazy attempt to put in a constellation how those different sub-industries are now represented by some bigger companies in the metaverse. So I'll let you scroll it when you have a little more time. But most importantly, I think it's very interesting to see how different industries have been disrupted or as a use case implemented in the use of AR, VR, and XR. So healthcare, obviously, the diagnostic that is performed by digitizing the patient, sport tech, obviously immersive environment as well as ed tech. Fashion, where you can actually see yourself and see fitting how you're looking with a new fashionable piece of clothing. HR, where things are in the world of the virtual offices, starting working and interacting in a way that is much more effective is everything that we're experiencing so far, as well as travel, manufacturing, and remote controlling of equipment is definitely something that is at a key development space now, as well as e-commerce, where you'll see the use of metaverse as you're buying items that are in a digital format. Morphology of the tech scale-ups. We can see here that actually the good development of the more mature startups is happening in the last few years. The interesting part is that in Korea, there is a speed to becoming a startup, a scale-up, is improving. So compared to other countries. So I think that's probably driven by the fact there's more capital inflow. And so people tend to be able to raise $1 million much quicker than the average rest of the countries. So European average is 4 to 5 versus the 3 years of Korea. Where everything is based, most of the economy is around Seoul, although Seoul is not the only place. So here we charted how other local ecosystems are represented. Obviously, Seoul is the biggest chunk of both the investment size and also the physical presence of startups here. This is actually a very interesting view of where is the capital coming from. Companies that are investing into Korean startups. So this is not the average where you see in other countries, where the capital is actually coming for the most part outside of this country. So you see that it's local for less than 50%. So 46% only of the capital that is being invested in Korean startups is coming from local players. So Japan, United States, and China, they're playing a significant role here. Obviously, Japan with specific funds that are very, very large in size, and so that's definitely moving the needle of the quantity of capital invested. But it's interesting to see how that compares. The other interesting part is that if you see the two charts at the bottom, is that also for the first time, 54% of the deals is now total capital raise is actually as a participation from corporates, and then we're going to hear from some of the corporates are here. And only 11% is actually government participating. So there's definitely a clear role of government here. We know it, and specifically in the educational side. But when it comes to the funding, it's actually playing a smaller role. Whereas the market, I think, that is increasing is how much capital corporates are starting investing directly through their CVC funds. Speaking of CVC funds, again, this is a significant portion of the funding that is coming about, and I suggest to pay attention to this chart because this is a good way to see how corporates of a certain size are betting into the local economy with their internal funding. I don't know if you can see the numbers, or we're looking at significant numbers. So we're looking at all the CVCs being created and raised new funds in the last 7 years, right? And you can see here, this comes up until a couple of months ago, 2022. There's already $1 billion that is available that's been raised in the last year. And there is, to our calculation, $14 billion that are available as a dry powder that is available in the market from corporates that already have raised that amount of money to be invested. We know that typically the investment phase is in a fund that is 10 years, that's the first 5, then you try to harvest this investment in the following 5 years. So you're looking at a significant amount of money that is still there, that is still available to be invested even in a downturn as the economy is facing these days. Again, have a look here at also the size of some of the CVC funds. We're looking at KB, Outpost, Samsung, the amount of capital that is being dedicated to CVC. You're looking at almost $3 billion, 2.8, and almost $2 billion. Folks, this is not average, right? So if you go, no matter where you're going in other countries, the size of the CVCs are significantly smaller than this. So there is definitely an interest that is then being implemented through deployment of capital that is coming from some of the key old or newer, like Naver or Kakao, players in the tech industries, and not only tech. Because there's also the POSCO of the world and a lot of financial institutions that are being engaged there. Again, you can get a lot of this information. This is just a snapshot. We were using it really today as a driver also for us to decide if when and if it makes sense to invest in this country. We're doing an investment in this country. I think we're happy to have gone in that path, because we see definitely a big improvement and difference that is coming from the market. All right, I think with that said, we're a couple of minutes early, but I think that would give us a little more time to start calling some of the Metaverse startups to get a little bit more hands-on in the technology being developed here. So I will ask here my colleague San Choi, the managing director of the Asia area for us, to take it over and start presenting the startups. And we'll have also some time to be discussing some key topics. So maybe we should bring some of the chairs right here. Thank you, Dr.
Hi everyone. So from now on, we're gonna have a panel talk with presentation with the startups, and the panel talk and presentation will be divided into 3 groups. So first group will be Metaverse, PNC Solution, Ijun Systems. Can you guys please come up? Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, you can take a seat wherever you want to sit.
I want to sit here.
Oh, you want to sit there?
Sure.
Anyways, the order we're going to be starting from the MetaView and PNC solution and Ijun systems. So I think two can sit there, one can sit here with me. Yes. Thank you everyone for coming out. So firstly, we want to go over with the presentation from each of you. And so I think you've prepared either presentation or video. So please come out and please share what you have first. So the presentation we're going to last around 2 to 3 minutes. Yes, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Simone from MetaView. So do you know how much money the company lose because of the downtime? Manufacturing and industry companies lose about $3.3 million per hour for a year. And also a company lose about 8% of their annual revenue, and factories lose up to 20% of their productivity because of the downtime. What we do is preventing those kind of problems. We are saving your time and money as much as possible by solving your problem immediately. So with our solutions, workers can connect with experts and solve the problem right away. So all they have to do is follow instruction from the expert. Then problem solved. So this is how it works. So this is the worker, and this is the expert. So expert will instruct what the workers have to do, and he's following his instruction. So that's problem solved. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The next PNC solution, please.
I am Seoul, the marketing manager of this solution. We are specialized in both AR devices and solutions of air technology area to connect people's network. We are targeting programs commonly caused by lack of additional resources because of such as low productivity cost and increasing in manufacturing and construction area and slow and inaccurate in logistics and many risks in medical sectors. So our solution is like AR glasses. By wearing the device, the performance of workers can be enhanced. And it's extremely economical in hiring more people and experts while it is true. Our AR glasses is HN5 that you can, it allows your hands free and which is it doesn't need to switch tension. So and our thanks to Proton SL2 platform, thanks to SL2 platform, we are able to implement self-developed AR engine that enables to anchor the cognitive contention on those specific spot where you want, and it can be used at the utmost advanced applications like complex manufacturing or medical sector that conventional versus type of AR devices were limited. This is our first website. And what we're looking for is the companies who want to try our solutions like see, and we are consider collaborating with AR solution software companies collaborate with to provide our device with their solutions via their existing selected channels. The show and this is our video. As you can see, the errors can be used in logistics because there are too much information shared and can be used in medical sectors. The few experts can able to cover multi-site without restriction of time, space, and even languages. We have it the AR engine is able to anchor the documented content wherever you want. Cameras. Representative of SR2, CT. That's it.
Thank you. Next, video assistant, please.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Shihan, and it's for honor for me to deliver the presentation. Like so, last 15 years, we have developed to have a business with the Korean conglomerate of Samsung Electronics. So we have provided the things that related with the robotics. So by the time, so we have found something Samsung Electronics, such a company, they do need some demand. So the safety education they need regularly. So we wanted to find some solution. So at the system, we wanted to provide it, especially the safety reason. So that we have created the education platform, especially based on the XR. XR is the advanced level of the VR, where is the virtual reality, so extended reality. So our plan is the B2B. So one is we are going to provide the thank you. So we are going to provide the education platform to the Samsung Electronics conglomerate company. So also we do have some experience B2C. So it is called Enjoy Street. Enjoy Street is basically we are training the tourist guide and based on the Excel. So that also we have been managing the tourist guide as well. So also, industry is can provide the BTS. It's not the name of the group, and the BTS, virtual travel system, is even though it's a private license, but the whole tourist guide after graduation from the education system, they supposed to have some license. So that, and so we are going on. So please have attention to our company. Oh, okay, by the way, I forgot. So do you know the Ijun means? So I don't guess. Ijun is the founder of those name. So it's Ijun. Okay, it's not funny for me. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Please come to the stage, everyone. Let me see if I can like it out because it's super out. I think we have to deal with this. Thank you, everyone. So I just wanted to ask you guys, firstly, so since you mentioned about your solutions and problems and the clients, but didn't really hear the actual stage where you at as a company. So one of the metrics is that you can share is number of clients, number of employees that you have, and also total number of funding that you have received so far. From MetaView, PNC, and Ijun, please. From MetaView, please.
Right now, we are trying to focusing on the manufacturing industry, like I said before. So we talked with some chemical company in Korea. So we are trying to do the POC with them. So a lot of manufacturing companies are quite interested in our solution, very remote. But we haven't got any fund yet, but we are help with some investment in Korea, so we are open to that investment.
Thank you. Next, PNC solution, please.
Yes, we have around 75 people working there. They have raised the CGA, but I don't remember the amount. They raised the CGA.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I have your question?
Oh, yes. Number of staffs and the total funding amount.
Okay, then that's not my expectation. I'm sorry, but I cannot officially say because it's not. I'm not the subject and deliver the right answer for.
Yes.
And would you mind I can give you the some kind of email pushing the number of
Yes.
employee and.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for understanding.
Yes, thank you. Then I will dip into the questions for Industry 4.0 and robotics, since you guys are the main focus areas are that. Firstly, I would like to know what are the industry that will be mostly positively impacted by your technology. So since you mentioned about several clients, can you briefly share that? From Iju?
Okay, sure. I know you point to me. So, basically our issue company is the education. The education itself is passive, always. So, people on employee actually work at perilous industry sites, such as dangerous chemical. So, worker might be ill on a daily basis. So we can have some kind of create a virtual reality system. So agent will be able to provide set education Then we do have some the data, such as first we have learned such a curriculum at the Incheon International Airport. So our education platform has trained airport security guard at security checkpoint. So based on the Outpost XR, it can be reality. So secondly, so as I mentioned during the my presentation, so tourist guide have taken our MR. So MR is another word is XR. So education is a problem. So you just have been managing a number of tourist guides as well. So by our company, so our education platform will be able to expand into the various other areas. So unlikely traditional system, so chalk and board, so high efficiency is expected by intangible but almost purely realistic visualization.
Thank you. So you started from the education and helping others from the education side
Yeah.
and using the XR.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Thank you. And next, it's PNC solution.
Yes. The most positively impacted industry, I think, will be manufacturing and construction area. Because as you know, the area people making experts exam are getting harder and harder nowadays. So, by learning our areas with this technology, fewer experts can cover multiple sites without any restriction of time, space, or even the languages. And we're very economical and there will be a lot of changes in this.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Mary, please.
I also agree about the manufacturing industry. I also believe that the manufacturing industry will be get the most positive impact from our solution because, like I said before, our solutions can solve the problems because the machine breakdown. So companies can reduce downtime and they also don't have to go on a business trip. So we believe that we can save companies money and time as much as possible. So I believe that the manufacturing industry will be the most positive impact.
Thank you. And I have another question for three of you. So as a startup, since you have to compete with other like large companies too. And I would like to know what are your edges, like strength and also handicaps from benefits.
So first, I believe that startups have a handicap compared to the big or small company because first of all, they have a brand value. So most of people know their brand. So probably if they want something, they would go first for them. So I think that's the handicap. And also, I believe that but other than the handicap, we also have the edge because a lot of projects and supports from the government can support us because the government support startups financially and also give some services like translation service and consultation. So they can support us to go globally. So I would say that's the edge for being a startup, I would say.
Thank you. So I think from PNC solution, can you also share your ideas?
Yes, as startups, definitely we are able to this much the best company. But let's say it is capital intensive, so we have to focus on the niche market. So it's relatively easy to customize our product device and software solution. Then the company. But it is difficult there get connect to prospective customers and company.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. I think that I like to show my LG first. And first of all, during my presentation, I mentioned compared to others, I would say that our predominance that has a history of business with the Korean conglomerate of Samsung Electronics. So I think we are more likely to have be accepted by the social company post the history. So we can probably relatively to get into there. So but the our benefit is as guys mentioned the other companies as a small company. So we have a lot of challenge every day. Of course, shortage of capital, so we do need money. Also, there is a mental as well. So we have to find the right person at right time. It is extremely hard. So that also we are slowly launching the overseas, which means we need we are looking for a lot of connection. So it won't be hard for us to find the right partnership that suit us well. So please thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please give applause. And next group, Smart Home School, Moonjin Peak, again, we are educators. So these startups will be focusing in edutech and gaming. I think you can just line up first and let's take a seat here. Oh yes, please. Let's see. Let me give you a mic. Video will be at the end. Yes.
Hello, good afternoon.
So everyone ready?
Yeah.
Yes. So let's play video.
Thank you. Yes, let's see video first. Thank you. All right. This is like 1 minute video. I didn't know they have no sounds, but yeah, just. Our product is ad, which provide 2D Metaverse for students and workers. Okay, that's it. I will show our presentation. Yes. Hello, my name is Junju. I'm a CEO of Smart Home School. Let me introduce myself. I had been e-learning field since like 2003, so it's been like more than 10 years. Yeah. And I had the most of works I doing was like making website and apps for students, providing online lectures. 2 years ago, we started this app, and this is you can work or study with your people, with your friend or your workers. We provide to the Metaverse. It is not really, but yeah, you can gather people. We have like metaverse space like office and library. Even we have gym and classrooms. We even trying to make like church or temple. We can provide all the metaverse spaces in 2D design. You can see the servers here, and those are members who are joining this group. So basically, you can compete with your friend or your coworker, or you can collaborate with them. Also, we provide smartwatches, Apple Watch, and Windows Watch. So, what is interesting? The interesting is that we provide also very detailed statistics. It is very similar to Google Analytics. Yeah. So we track people's life load and time tracking. So we provide them. We have the business model provide them like advertisement or premium models. But our goal is to study what they are doing, and we would like to provide them what they want as for each person. Yes. And interesting of this that it activates when you flip it, so you can get out of from like playing games and web surfing. Like that. Yeah, we even have donation function. So if you use our app, you can charity to society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Unjin. Thank you. You look like you don't want to pitch, but
I'm just like, the presenter has been changing like the last minute, so.
Okay.
Understand.
so it starts with a video. So can I
Sure.
play?
Hi, this is JR Kim from Unjin. Our company has established in the 1980s, so it's been like more than 42 years already. And it started as a publishing company, but it's expanded its business into smart education. So out of the various education services that we've been providing to the local people, for this event, I'd like to focus on Wikipedia, which is a full combination between paper books and digital contents. So we'll start with a video. So there is a few reasons why children less likely to read paper books. It's boring, it's all full of context and text, and then people make kids read when they're not interested in it or paper book may be like a little hard for them to understand. So this is kind of a full combination between paper book and digital content. So the application, they download their tablet, and then if you place it, the paper book on underneath like a little camera under its tablet base, under the shape thing, and it's going to recognize the image, and then it's going to bring it up to the screen. So not just reading the text on the paper book, but they can actually interact with the content, with the story. They can create their own characters and adapt to the content, and then they can even engage into the story. So it's been so I think that's it.
Thank you so much. I hope I had this when I was young. So next startup is Hagin. We are at actually next one is Hagin. I don't think Hagin is here, right? Seems like the video hasn't been added, so I think we can go with the VR edit and come back. Yeah. Yeah, so you want to go with the presentation first? A video first. So, yes, and here's a video. You want me to start?
We are travel agent platform. Live streaming and live tour like this. Guide the interaction with you, and you can buy from our platform. Industry. We are in pandemic era, so we have to change the travel industry. So we make some platform for us. Okay. My presentation was lost, but I can explain to you. Industry has three factors. First, tech, live streaming, and live commerce. So you can buy and then you can touch it with your buy. And the second is people. We have 100 experts, traditional and historical knowledge guides. And third is platform. We have partners to give us some product to vendor companies. So we can give you some wonderful travel experience to you.
Thank you. So next, please. Again, the slide is here. Here, the video is here.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Evan Chen, and I'm here to introduce our company, Hiking. Hiking is a South Korean mobile game company that was founded in 2017. So far, we have launched 5 games of various genres. Our most representative game is called Play Together, which is a social Metaverse mobile game. Since its launch in April 2021, we have reached over 100 million downloads and 4 million DAU within the first year. The game features a wide array of engaging content for the players to enjoy, and also facilitates a way for real-life brands and companies to reach out to the players through brand collaboration content. This is something we plan on expanding on in the near future. We also have long-term plans that will allow us to transform the game into a social entertainment platform. This is a vision that allowed us to raise over $128 million in a recent Series B investment. Well, this is pretty much all I have to introduce for now. The video I have behind is actually a video that we prepared for our users for the first year anniversary. It's a fun infographic video of the various achievements that we've achieved. sorry for the lack of sound. Usually there's actually a very entertaining music in the background, but it's kind of pale right now. So these are all footage that were took from the in-game engines. This is the actual image and the gameplay that you will see when you play the game. As you can see, the game features a lot of cute graphics and very engaging gameplay. It's actually very popular to players of age 13 to 25, and that doesn't mean that older players do not play it. We actually have parents playing with their kids. So the game is practically for everybody. It's safe for all ages to enjoy, and we tend to keep it that way because we want everybody to be able to play this game. As you can see, there's a lot of color and a lot of characters with different shapes, forms, and costumes. We actually have a very robust customization system that I think right now we have a total of over 6,000 customization options, including clothing, housing, furniture, so on and so forth. That's pretty much it. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Let's grab a seat, everyone.
So group 2 was about edutech and gaming. It was really interesting to see a lot of moving things, and especially for the last one, Hagen, the character dances better than I do, so I was surprised. I have so 2 questions each for you guys. First one is, how do you expect your industry in edutech or gaming to be 10 years from now, thanks to VR and AR or XR?
Okay, so I'll start.
Yes.
So gaming is actually very heavily reliant on the development of technology. One of the key aspects that, as a player, you would expect to see how advanced the game is, how close it is to reality, graphics and all that. So in that terms, AR and XR is really about converging reality with virtuality to the point that you can't tell the difference. So in the next 10 years, we expect games and game technology to become more immersive and more engaging. So we're looking forward to that.
Right. Thank you. And next, please. Yes.
Industrial is a travel agency, so travel with Excel is not a substitute for offline travel. We anticipate that the journey through extended reality will expand not only to reality, but also to the actual experience of imaginary space. Travelers can visit multiple cultures at the same time and expect to a new travel experience of augmented and historical sites, places that humans can't visit, and spaces of movie content. For example, Seoul during the Joseon Dynasty, the solar system, the deep sea, and the Harry Potter school.
Thank you. Next, Imogen, please.
Well, 10 years from now, like for my industry, like education. Well, education itself is like pretty different from the past already. But in 10 years, not only the AR or VR or XR, thanks to 2D, 3D graphics, animation, the voice recognition, the user information synthesis, stuff like that. Like various technology is going to be adapted to when they're learning, especially like science. They don't have to prepare the laboratories, the preparation for doing a chemistry experience. All they gotta do is just hands-on activities and then tablets. So like this, I think it's gonna be very different in public school learning and then at home learning, and it's gonna be taken to a whole different level.
Thank you.
As you know, education change is very slow. Teachers from 100 years ago, they still can teach now. Those education changes are very slow. And as you know, after COVID-19 happened, there's huge revolution for education, and using VR and AR and Metaverse can be very big, huge role to change future education. I think so.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And last question, it should be really quick. You have to say in 1 or 2 words. Okay. So the question is, so what is the first feature or hardware will be the killer application in your field?
For us, it'd be the game content itself.
Game contents.
The game is all about a life simulation on an imaginary island. Everything in the game points toward that, so it offers our players the experience of living a second life, so to say.
Okay, thank you.
I think the commerce function is the virtual reality is the main thing for our extra travel experience to be sustainable and meaningful. We need to make sure that it is connected to reality. For example, I think it will be a function to commercialize travel photos, videos, towards souvenirs, and extra space so that they can be safely owned in the virtual world and are considered valuable in real life.
Thank you. Please.
Hopefully, our application, the RPDF, could be a killer content in the future. Because we are working on several patents with the technology using their hands motions and then facial expressions adapt to the content when they're learning or reading, even reading a book. So it was kind of immersive application and various technology would be there.
Thank you. Next, please. Smart.
Yes, to talk about like hardware, I believe something like smartwatch, smart glasses can be a big role. Also, Metaverse and AI indicators can be also huge roles.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So our last group is the largest group. Immersive technology with the crispy, Data King, Marvelous, Sidewalk, and 3i. So, Crispy, can you come up?
Yeah.
If you want to start the video, you can.
Okay, yes. Anyway, thank you for pronouncing the company's name correctly. It's Crispy with an X. So let me start with the video. Let me see here. So my name is Chris from Crispy. We are making invented O2O XR Metaverse platform for the first time in the world. So I really love Metaverse. We all love Metaverse. Sometimes you hate wearing some devices, especially for me, on top of my glasses, kind of hard for me to wear. So we created some small room and we put all the Metaverse world into this room. So in this room, you can get some maybe immersive digital art experience. You don't have to go to the far exhibition center anymore. Just near your house, you can get some experiences. Also, you can, by touching the world, so directly, so you can interact with the metaverse world. So you can find some maybe correct images. Also, you can do some rhythmic game with the art painting. Actually, totally it's up to you. Also, with this platform, you can make digital escape room game. Just an example of it. Actually, we made it. Kids will really love it. So in this room, it can be any like spaces. So you don't have to be like physical limit for your own imagination or creation. So we are providing SDK. We have made so far some of those these Nordic Cube rooms yet. And also you can play any types of 360 video, the virtual video. So inside this room, it can be educational, it can be like entertainment, it can be any types of use you can experience. So this is supposed to be like elevator pitch. So let me just ask you one thing, like 30 seconds. How long does it take coming from here, from the first floor through the elevator to the 6th floor? 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So meanwhile, if you want to get some really good metaverse experience, are you willing to wear Oculus? If you have a text message, you can definitely look at your smartphone. So, but on the 6th floor, there's no kiosks. Because can you wait for 20 seconds, 30 seconds to get this awesome experience without any like devices? Okay, if yes, then this business will be really successful. So we are expanding our business. Actually, we are making sorry about it. Yeah, the new Nordic Cube in Frankfurt by the end of October. So extending the number of the platforms. So please expect our business. And so my name is Chris from Crispy. Our product name is Nordic Cube. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, that's great. And next is a bear king.
Hi everyone, I'm Data CEO. So start. Data still XR world is 3D for XR creators. As problem, that was problem. Big tech company take a high commission from 30 to 100%, Our solution, our Hexaworld Metaverse NFT blockchain and technology from start to decentralized solution. We have a 3D graphic engine and virtual world avatar for sale, 3 advertising DPR revenue. Hexaworld's difference because it's a proven business model. We have achieved success. We are different, no download software, no installing. Already, as you know, this year 2,000 creators maker produce 12,000 contents. We start 300,000 USD, 26.31 billion USD. We have a special team and technology, blockchain technology, and digital marketing technology, and big data technology. We have a timeline. We start in 2019 R&D and 2021 CD investment, and this year 5 million USD. We plan to Korea to expand to USA and Europe. This service 3D platform, we have a special 3D editor engine. Creator can make these contents and sell the NFT. We support NFT projects and internal P2P trading system and outside trading system OpenSea. We have some kinds of avatar and playing the game. We make a city in Seoul, next step in Busan. Next years, we plan to USA. And commercial example, McDonald's, you can buy in this hexagon. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. It looks like the Lego of a Metaverse world. And the next company, Micros, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Kwon Win. I'm head of global marketing at Metaverse. We're a Metaverse firm started in 2015 that helps brands interact with customers through Metaverse experiences and scale their business to Web3. We have a education Metaverse, our core product at Metaverse is a platform called Memes, and we work with other clients in the F&B, agriculture, and tourism space. So I want to point out first some things that we do. When we did our market research, we realized that for brands, online transformation is not enough to be competitive in this day and age. And the market is moving toward a more so omni-channel approach that provides an immersive consumer experience encompassing both the physical and the digital to define what we believe will be the eventual metaverse ecosystem. At Metaverse, in order to help our clients expand their businesses to this space, we're working with leading players across different industries to provide Metaverse as a service centering on 3 core features. One is PTE, commerce, and then visual modules. Okay. Play to earn, or PTE, is a core feature for our Metaverse projects, which spans multiple domains. Our product allows our brands and clients to build out immersive virtual consumer experience that enables users to engage with Metaverse native activities to earn rewards. With the Meta Commerce portion, consumers in our education, F&B, and mobility metaverses can use the currency they earn and thereby connecting with virtual activity and tangible rewards they can obtain in real life. And finally, with the digital experience, we combine both the physical and the digital offerings to create an offline experience that is parallel to the online services, so that consumers can connect with the brands in a unique way, even if they are not physically present. Our overall vision is to continue to sharpen this module, create more beautiful metaverse ecosystems with our brands and partners, and we believe that the metaverse is here to stay and to enhance, if you want to enhance the business and the experience of your end users. We hope that Metaverse can be your key partner to take you there. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next player is Sidewalk, please.
Hello, my name is Gibo, and CEO and founder of the Sidewalk Entertainment. We create a short-form social service called Step-In, powered by real-time motion tracking technology. Hip-hop and dance play is a fun and interesting way. Hip-hop fans engage in hip-hop culture. We want to make this experience as easy to access to all the hip-hop fans, global fans, and dance gamers with advanced features and form features. The conventional motion capture technologies take too much resources and manpower. We solve this by developing a technology that transforms 2D data into 3D joint value in real time without any editing. And also, we created an AI-based motion capture technology that generates outlines in real time. With this stepping, you can learn, practice, and battle with compete with other dancers online. The skeleton point, and outlines help you, create your dance moves. We also plan to add real-time avatar masking to create a completely different and new dancing experience soon. There was a promotional video on the screen, but it doesn't play. So yeah, let me analyze it. We made a step-in, a future social platform for the that's better. Thank you. I mean, it's coming soon in November for the global open beta. So yeah, you can really can't wait for us.
Thank you. Next is 3I. Actually, we see a lot of dancing play, right?
Yes. We're company called 3I. I think it's best that we show what our service is. I'll just run a 2-minute clip for you. Yes, building a digital twin used to use very sophisticated cameras, but our company, using just an iPhone and a 360 camera on a tripod, I'll just show you. And then we will just run through this tripod on a walking speed. Our employee, as you can see, is demonstrating. This was actually taken in a building, 3rd floor. Capturing itself took 20 minutes, and we'll show you the final output in less than 30 minutes. So the concept is using your iPhone, just that 360 camera, nothing special, just walking through the distance. You walk, take photo, walk, just pause for a minute. And our employees done taking the photo survey. We took about 37 photos to make a digital twin. Now we would upload these photos to our Amazon cloud. It's processing. And in less than 30 minutes, you can build a digital twin. So it's a Google Street View for the inside of facilities. So as you can see, just your average iPhone, just a conventional 360 camera, and we have the technology to create a digital twin for anyone without any specialty. And this was done in less than 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. It was quick and impactful. So everyone please come out to the stage. Thank you for having me. So since we have 9 minutes, I will ask you guys one question each. So for Crispy, Data King, Marvelous, I would like to ask you, what's the main inhibitor for Metaverse to reach mass market? From Crispy, please.
Yes, I usually do the last because my company's name is Crispy with an X, but this time I go first. The main inhibitors is obviously for me is infrastructure because we want, as I just mentioned, is one of the sample. taking elevator, you want to experience the metaverse. You can't really get that experience yet. So because obviously the infrastructure is not ready, so that's why the lots of money is actually invested in this area from the very early stage. In Korea, like for example, we are definitely focusing on the school because school has some policy that is called digital new deal in Korea. And so they are like investing lots of tons of money for renovation, how can I say, the transforming the whole school into the industry 4.0 level. So in that case, it's all about like when you think of like the computer is getting born. So the Bill Gates along his first computer experience at school. It's a huge computer. It's very expensive, so we can't really afford it. It's coming. The time is coming. So we are luckily we are in the really early stage. So there is big evidence, but there are lots of chances for now. That is my opinion. So definitely we can target into the market, and it's going to be very optimistic for all of us.
Thank you. Next, thank you, please. Let me see if the mic is working. See, this is why we need Metaverse, right?
This MS Metaverse Standard Forum. XR is original member, principal member. We are three topic, main topic. First topic, passion. Who is passion? Or avatar passion. Second topic is 3D asset. Third topic is 3D asset inter-exchanging. You already know Web 2 platform protocol, HTML, but Web 3 platform protocol, USD. Yes, is a very important USD protocol standardization. We are focused on ISO for Metaverse.
Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Next one, Marcos, please.
Sure. At Metaverse, we think that the biggest inhibitor to the metaverse reaching mass consumer appeal is basically in terms of how users are interfacing with the technology. These days with XR, VR, and AR, what we see mostly is just the end users working in the game industry and interfacing with entertainment, but not really where we want to go to. We want to really be able to work with brands to bring the retail and consumer activity into the metaverse, and that's a really strategic opportunity that we see. That's why we're working with different brands to shape their user journey into the metaverse. We're working with a large cafe chain in Korea to bring their customers from offline into the metaverse and extending that journey. So that's really critical to rethink the way consumers are not just working with this technology, but understanding how they can be integrated in this new Web3 experience.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And for Sidewalk and 3i, I would like to ask you, so what's the industry vertical, in your opinion, that will be more impacted by the metaverse development? So vertical means industry, industry category. So what's the industry vertical, in your opinion, that will be more impacted by the metaverse development?
During the explain about the metaverse.
Yes, so through the development of metaverse technology.
I have a little different perspective about the metaverse, because most of the brand like metaverse are focused on the space or special equipment or the inside of something else, right? But I believe that there is definitely they need additional equipment to write content or consume content. But I think that's the kind of I think that like there is a limitation for that. Human means that it's additional like barrier entry wall. So that's why we are focused on the real-time AI, motion tracking AI equipment. That means that we don't need it because we just link between human and avatar so that we can expand the technology to the traditional sports like soccer, or yoga, or any other traditional sports. And also we can adapt the technology to the other normal cases. Like for example, if one guy fall down at the factory, then CCTV track out human and then alarm and then call an ambulance to save the human. And also sometimes you can track out the thief in your home. So that's kind of we saw different perspective of the metaverse. That's why we focus on the human and detection metaverse instead of the grand gears stuff. That's my perspective.
Thank you. Interesting view. Next.
Yeah, just combining our experience in the digital twin, we found out the hard way that our value proposition was you will save travel time and money if you build a digital twin, but we found out the hard way that employees actually enjoy traveling and spending money. So it didn't work. Now the main focus of the digital twin is in the construction industry. The videos and the CCTVs cannot monitor the progress, so they are using digital twin to make everyday captures for the progress management. And now the focus is integrating AI, so detecting an accident where it can happen in terms of human error or construction. And many construction companies right now are integrating AI into the photos to detect any accidents that may happen before it does.
Thank you. So we were talking about the hardware and the different views, softwares. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, everyone. The session is over, so please everyone give a
All right, thank you, Sam. Thank you for running really at the second. We're back on track. So we're moving from the fun world of startups to the fun world of corporates. So as you know, here the idea is really to run a marketplace where the corporates that have expressed their interest in looking for solutions that can be integrated, invested, or acquired can actually also share specifically what they're looking for. So out of our large marketplace, we have invited two specific corporates to go a little deeper in their presentation of what they are looking for. And after these two presentations, that will show you where you can find 100 more of what we call innovation challenges. That is the word that we use within our platform, ecosystem platform. So without further ado, let me welcome Giacomo Silvestri, Executive Chairman of IVECO. Welcome. So Giacomo, please take the stage. I think I want to welcome first of all Giacomo because it took a large trip that was supposed to happen last year, and then the world happened, and so finally a year later we're still actually presenting a version of E&I, and you can give a little bit more color about this that is significantly more accelerated than the version of last year. So appreciated your time. You have 10 minutes to present what E&I is up to.
Thank you, Marco. I'm very happy to be here. And by the way, just yesterday, a colleague of mine, Rich, asked me, but why are you here in Korea, in Seoul? So I will try to give you an idea why I took this 14 hours flight to come here in Korea. So basically, oil and gas or energy industry, generally speaking, is facing an unprecedented time transformation. A strategic one, a technological one, an industrial one, and probably even more challenging, a cultural one. So if I have to summarize, let me say that nothing we have done in the last 20 years as an industry will be done in the same way in the next 10, 15, or 20 years. So in this context, we can discuss about strategic scenarios, strategic levers to assess and to cope with those challenges. And there could be different way to tackle it. But we are sure at least two certainties. The first one, that technology will stand at the core of the competitive advantage. And the second is that innovation for oil and gas or energy companies, it's not a choice. It's something, let me say, mandatory. So let me explain how we in E&I were trying to tackle with these amazing and even passionate challenges. Basically, if I have to summarize, I would say two things. The first one, we need to enlarge our reach, meaning that more and more we need to create an innovation ecosystem bigger and bigger. And that's half of the answer before why I'm here in Seoul. We need to see what's happening probably all around the world in order to be fast in catching the innovation and even to be better in taking the best innovation. And by the way, amazing, the startup. So before what you presented before, it's really amazing, and it takes a lot of notes of some idea that spotted me during your presentation. Congratulations. Second point, it's not just a matter of creating a network and find out in a fast way the innovation, but also it's a matter of fast track the innovation idea in order, as Marco or Alberto this afternoon, at the beginning saying, okay, it's not just a matter of finding innovation, it's a matter of creating value out of the innovation. And here, oil and gas company, big giant company, are not always easy to make happen, are complicated, are big, are structured, are even bureaucratic sometimes. So what we are doing in E&I is creating new vehicles in order to fast track this kind of innovation. And here we come with IVECO, that I'm proud to be the executive chairman. IVECO is the new venture building vehicle of E&I. So what we do, what's the mission, let me say. And first of all, the vision. What we want to do is to accelerate toward a sustainable future by scaling high potential business. On a side, building on E&I strength, E&I heritage, but on the other side, of course, with a new, faster, even simpler entrepreneurial spirit. So it's a corporate venture building vehicle that basically identify, select, build, and hopefully we will be able to scale new startup around this, strongly based on technology, proprietary technology and patents, and in order to fasten this transition versus the zero carbon. So basically, short-term outcome, we raised the bar pretty high. We committed to launch from now to 2025 at least 5 scale-up, and one out of those 5 we will love to have what is called a unicorn. And in terms of scaling, we have already built a funnel of 10-15 potential deals that we have. It's already in the validation stage, and we want to run around 2-3 business build up year by year. What we are looking at, let me say, on a hand, we are leveraging on what exists in terms of technology within our company. So all our competence, all our technology that we developed in the last year, we are looking at that value in order and wondering if we can bring the value also on the market. That is a side. But on the other side, of course, we look also external. These are some of the area, not exhaustive, we are looking at. Basically 4 macro areas. So the first of all, still industrial, with a new perspective: energy consumption, energy efficiency, asset integrity. These are focused on the core industrial part of our company. The other side, renewable and circular, and here we can range from, in all the range of the typical renewable with some specific maybe focus, like you can see here, wind farm design and optimization, circular economy, of course, energy storage, non-electrochemical energy storage, and so on and so forth. Then emission, of course, emission reduction and sustainability with technology for carbon capture utilization, or water neutrality, or flaring emission, or CO2 mineralization. So different technology all around the concept of sustainability and emission, including even the agrotech industry. And given that we committed as ENI, as a company, to be a net zero company in 2050 at scope 3, of course also all smart mobility and smart cities technology solution are part of this game. Very in a nutshell, how do we work? So we work as a typical venture builder vehicle. So on a side, we leverage on our internal origination from our R&D department, from our industry, from our partners. On the other side, and that's one of the reasons of my visit here in Korea, of course, we also try to look outside, identifying new technology-based patent ideas that we can bring in our vehicle. And then it's a typical, let me say, some of them, of course, will not pass the validation phase. Some other will enter in the funnel of Metaverse. So we will start building up the startup. We will look for also market investments. So we'll look for partner also from a financial and investment point of view, not just from a technological or sales and commercial point of view. And then we expect to bring them to the exits. That could be even an IPO, leveraging on some vehicle that we have already listed in the London Stock Exchange. So a little bit more in detail, we have defined pretty structured, let me say, processes that jump into 4 phases. Typical phase of incubation that, depending on the technology, might last, even pretty long, even a couple of years of incubation. Then we want to be pretty fast in the validation phases, 3 to 6 months, in order to decide either to go on with the idea and entering in the business building phase or not. Then we enter in the business building phase, typically again, of course, depending on the technology that stands behind, could be immediate, because sometimes we find out that we found some technology that were already market ready. Some other would last 6 or 12 months, but we will not to go over 12 months. Going back to that concept that we need as an energy company to be faster in creating value out of those solutions. And finally, scaling them. So this is really, in a very simple way, an outlook of how we want to create value through our new vehicle of Metaverse Venture Building. So thank you very much. I'm very happy again to be here with you.
Thank you, Giacomo, and congratulations on the launch of this new entity. Yeah, finger crossed. That's also part of the beautiful journey in the search of solutions that actually would add value. So we're moving from oil and gas world into more of automotive. So let me see if we have our colleague connected here.
Hello.
Hi, Pablo. Let me just put you on. Perfect. We can see you.
Yep.
Nice and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you as well.
Hi.
So,
Good morning, everyone.
from IVECO, the floor is yours.
Right. Well, thanks. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm quite pleased to introduce the IVECO group to all of you. Well, to the ones that are not familiar with our company, first thing to say is that until the beginning of this year, we were part of the CNH Industrial Group. And then a demerger took place and we split it between the off-road business that keeps being CNHI, and then the on-road businesses where we are right now. Next slide, please. This new group of the on-road business area, it combines 8 brands that were already existing. And here you can see our footprint. We are present in 160 countries all over the world. We have 31 research and development centers and 29 manufacturing plants. In these facilities, we are employing 34,000 employees. Next slide, please. Here you can see the big numbers from last year. Well, we closed with 12.6 billion of consolidated revenues and 1.4 of available liquidity. The good news is that in spite of the spin-off, we are in fact improving these numbers through the first half of this year. On the right side, you can see all the markets where we operate. The main focus is still on Europe, as you can see, but we are becoming really strong in South America, pioneering gas vehicles with very good feedback. We are also present in Asia, where we have some interesting collaborations and partnerships. The next slide, please. Here you can see a general overview of our products portfolio. Starting from the left, you can see that we are designing, producing, selling, and maintaining all kinds of commercial vehicles, from light, medium, and heavy, and also all the related services portfolio according to the offer. Then we have FPT, where we are building, designing, building, and selling engines and driveline solutions. 4 years ago, we created the e-powertrains division, where we are offering electrification solutions such as e-axles, central drives, and battery packs, and all that stuff. Then we have the buses, also are quite leading their niche in some markets. We have both buses and e-buses. Then specialty vehicles with 3 different brands. Magirus, that is a quite prestigious brand with more than a century of experience, offering best-in-class firefighting solutions. Then Astra, offering heavy-duty trucks for extreme off-road operations. And finally, the IVECO defense vehicles that are more than anything armored off-road vehicles. Finally, we have on the right side our financial services based on IVECO Capital. Here we unify more than 25 societies operating in 14 different countries. They are helping customers to fund vehicles through products such as financing, leasing, or rental. And we related to this side of our business, as many of you should know, nowadays is taking place the IAA in Hanover. That is the biggest summit or event related to commercial vehicles in the world. And yesterday, our CEO presented our own startup called GATE, that is Green Advanced Transport Ecosystem, based on a pay-per-use models for the electric heavy trucks. Okay, next slide, please. Here you can see more or less how our different brands and products are impacting over our industrial net revenues. I would like to point out that more than the half is coming from the commercial vehicles portfolio, and also a big chunk of the cake comes from our powertrain solutions. Next slide. Here you can see, let's get deep in the innovation approach. Here you can see the 5 pillars that are driving innovation in our company. All of them are based on the principles of sustainability, business productivity, and customer experience. Next slide. As we set our scouting challenges based on these 5 pillars, I would like to give you a hint on each of them. The first one, the product range and positioning. Well, we are evolving our products in order to gain market share in every market where we are present. We are doing it having in mind, first of all, the customer needs, and then the paradigm shift that we are living in currently in terms of zero-emission vehicles, connected and automated driving, and data-driven services. This last one is quite remarkable because it's directly related to the challenges that we have set in our recent scouting activities. Because, well, as you know, the industry is moving towards new revenue streams coming from the new business model related to services based on autonomous driving and connected vehicles above all. And we are still looking for software companies offering microservices related to the software-defined vehicles. Then regarding operational performance, well, in this case, we have different programs and initiatives, such as the DRIVE program or the Factory of the Future. The Factory of the Future is focused on the digital transformation of manufacturing environments and Industry 4.0. We have also set some challenges related to that, where we have been looking for companies offering artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions to implement in our manufacturing facilities with the aim of improving in efficiency and in operations. Then surely we have alternative powertrain. We are making the most of our collaborations in this area. We are building battery electric vehicles and fuel cell electric vehicles together with Nikola in a quite consolidated joint venture that started more or less 3 to 4 years ago. Then we have also some news coming from the IAA, because we signed a memorandum of understanding with Hyundai some months ago, and yesterday, for the first time, just some months after this collaboration, we presented the new fuel cell e-Daily together with Hyundai, where we have put together our vehicle technology together with Hyundai's powertrain technology. Okay, so the vehicle is installing a fuel cell coming directly from Hyundai. And in relation with this, our collaborations and partnerships approach, well, we have a focus on development, acceleration, and also investment risk sharing. Best-in-class solutions development, where we are building an impressive partnership ecosystem that we'll see later. Finally, talking about the lifecycle services, we are not just focused in our products, but services, as I have already said. We're offering fintech solutions, operation solutions, such as, well, logistics management, energy management for our vehicles, and also driver experience related services. Well, the idea is to keep developing these new business models, looking for what I mentioned, okay, new revenue streams, making the most of the new digital ecosystem that is driving the mobility and transport industry. Next slide, please. Well, to sum up, this innovative mindset has led us to be one of Europe's most agile and entrepreneurial OEMs. We are for sure an early movement with a big advantage in alternative powertrain. And also, well, we are quite strongly positioned for these new opportunities that the mentioned paradigm shift is bringing to us. Okay. Next slide. And well, finally, I would like to give you a brief overview into our startups ecosystem. We have 3 different groups based on our innovation drivers. On the top side, you can see the ones related to product technology, investment, and know-how. There we have Microbus, Plus AI, EasyMile, for example. I would like to point out Plus AI, to whom don't know this startup is their expertise is related to autonomous driving, And together with them, we are developing our autonomous trucks. Last year, we started a proof of concept in China. And this year, we have developed a couple of proof of concepts that have succeeded in Europe. In fact, yesterday in the IAA, we also presented our first L4 autonomous Class 8 truck based on an S-Way. Then on the lower right side, we have the ones related to new markets and business model, above all related with the financial services. And in between, we can put Nikola and Hyundai with this memorandum of understanding and joint ventures that have succeeded in bringing to the market new battery electric vehicles and fuel cell vehicles too. Finally, on the left side, we have the service and energy ecosystem, where I would like to point out AWS or Amazon. We started our relation like 4 years ago, and the first result of it was to implement the driver pad. That is to bring Alexa inside all our vehicles, something that our customers are quite happy with, and we are also making a lot of improvements there. In the middle, we have a couple of memorandum of understandings with Enel and Eni. Both of them, the one with Enel is focused on unlocking the potential of e-mobility, and with Eni also to look for sustainable transportation and mobility solutions. And that's all. Thank you very much for your attention and your time.
Thank you, Pablo. We heard you loud and clear here, so stay with us if you can, so we can share a few more inputs here. So on that note, let me go into back at our presentation mode. Let me move down here the list. So as I said before, this is the time where we want to present also both for startups and corporates, the opportunity that you're going to find in our matching AI-driven platform that we call Mind the Bridge platform. So for that, I'm going to call my colleague Ron here to give us a little introduction of what you can find there. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Ron Lee from Mind the Bridge, and it's not going to take too long, so don't worry. So before the most we value the panel talk, I'm going to just take about 10 minutes, the introduction of the Mind the Bridge ecosystem, and then how you leverage the Mind the Bridge ecosystem from both startup and the corporate side. And thank you very much. I'll try to go to the Mind the Bridge ecosystem real platform and show you the demonstration. So again, thank you very much for the detailed information, Giacomo and IVECO team. So now I'd like to elaborate the way to leverage Mind the Bridge ecosystem to find scale-ups and global challenges from both of the corporate side and the startup side. To begin with the intro of the Mind the Bridge, a little brief. It is an AI-powered platform that enables business matching for startups and corporations, and portfolio promotion for innovation agencies and investors as well. Now, let's have a look at how the platform looks, starting from the startup view. So, promoted scale-ups and startups have a dedicated account on the Mind the Bridge ecosystem, where they can apply hundreds of business challenges published by corporates. For example, promoted startups called Bound, here in the stage, develops a smart sensor for truck tire and trailer tire. So they wanted to help to reduce exorbitant costs resulting from accident. And third issue of the concern of the fleet managers, so we can apply to the fleet managers of the truck fleet managers, and also the autonomous driving trucks, and also for the truck vehicle manufacturers. So you can apply to 3 different types of end users. So in this kind of startups, when they apply to put their information about their startup short description, they can also put their website, pitch decks, and LinkedIn, and also easy to edit based on their updates. After applying all this information, you can go simply to the apply to challenges. Our AI will suggest you the most suitable challenges that corporate have published. And if you, give me 1 second, sometimes the internet has been, yes. So here it shows 1 challenges that suits with the this kind of corporates that AI suggests. So through after checking out the details of this challenge, you can simply also they can also send tailored information to support their application, such as a brief statement of how they plan to solve the challenge, and also uploading the material, such as a customized proposal day. So don't worry if you don't see any AI match suggestions for you. You can simply go over to show all running challenges at this moment. Just put the advanced filter. So E and I have is Gale and oil. So let's put just the energy. Even though the startup is a tire sensor company. So there is several 24 relevant challenges that covers the oil and gas related challenges that look seeking for relevant startups. And let's go to the, so at any time, startup can update their profile and keep it updating, creating the repository of non-public materials that they may want to share for corporate partnerships. Now, let's look at how corporate can leverage the Mind2Bridge ecosystem to find suitable startups. I will use IVECO group account to, for example, to show an example. So this is a view of the corporate called the IVECO group that just has a great, gave us a great presentation. So challenges tab, if you go to the challenges tab, simply the corporates can publish and also edit and even find the detail, show the, or organize the detailed information of the challenges that they seek for certain type of the startups. So and after they decide to put any details and edit the challenges that they are wanting to open to seek for the startups, then after they can simply go to the portfolio tab. Once the startup applies, the corporate will publish the challenge and will receive the application in their portfolio section with the label to be evaluated. And after you find the favorable startup, you can simply find the matching after and give you the feedback to the startups after you have reviewed. And you can see this little featured list. If the dedicated scaling managers provide you a good startup. So we here today want to show the Metaverse startups in Korea. For example, to show our innovation agencies and investors for the portfolio promotion purposes and for the our suggestions of how with the trends. So once the request is placed from the startup side, the platform will notify the startups and share relevant contact information with both parties to organize a meeting. And that's mostly about the Mind2Bridge ecosystem. Thank you, everyone. And then now I'll pay to Marco for the next step.
Thank you, Ron. And yeah, we're particularly excited about this extra tool to support really this difficult process of filtering solution and try to being suggested through AI. And that's is been working. By the way, there are a bunch of T-shirts on ecosystem. The one thing that Ron was wearing before. So feel free to get those and gather. All right, now's the time to our final panel, and I'm gonna ask our friends from a few corporates from outside of Korea that have set up their outpost here. So please let's give them a welcome to Dylan Seo from Deutsche Telekom. Jung-Min Lee from L'Oreal, Danny Sanjang from Orange. I'm sorry if I'm misspelling your name. Han-Suk Kim from SAP. I think, hold on, please, welcome. Please take a seat. Welcome. As I say, the best at last. What I want to start talking about before is, again, some data that we have shared in our report. The measurement of KPIs, objectives, and structure of outpost of innovation from corporates is something that we've been tracking for quite some time, because we believe it's definitely one of the areas where the open innovation industry is evolving. And so we want to share with our audience in general. So this is just some snapshot behind you of the size of this flow of large corporates that are coming to Korea. In fact, we'll hear from you why, but specifically to look for solutions like for yourself. And that's definitely something, as it happened with the data that I showed before, that is accelerating over time. So again, we have counted 68 innovation outposts in Korea, representing 58 corporates. The structure of those entities might vary. So the way that we identify them is, what we call an innovation antenna, 1 or 2 people in a co-working space, mainly there to gather information and trends from the market, to what we call the innovation lab. So structure typically is a little bit bigger. The idea is to be able to have locally somebody that can interact with startups, typically sometimes do some POCs or collaboration and co-development. Then we move to the more structured R&D centers, like classic R&D centers with more typically hundreds of people. And then we have the area of CVCs. We talked about CVCs, the local CVC in Korea. There's definitely, it's pretty clear what CVC are there. Whether they're invested directly from their off balance, as they call it, or they have a structure to invest. We have, here you see some numbers, 6 of them that we have tracked that have put, a presence in South Korea. Where are they from? US, unsurprisingly, is probably the one that is the most represented in terms of number of outposts here. Then Germany, France, and a few more. Again, we're seeing that we're doing some similar accounting for Silicon Valley and Israel, that obviously are 2 well-known and historic locations where a lot of companies want to put an antenna there. But we're seeing definitely that Korea is coming down the pipeline. What is the focalization of those entities? You see again, is a pretty wide spread of activities, biotech and life science and pharma. We have L'Oreal here is definitely on top, chemicals, and all the others are I think, equally represented. How they're structured and when they started, I think here the key element is that everything is happening in the last 5 to 6 years. So you see really a peak of presence that is increasing over and over. Where are they based? Again, this is the typical situation of Korea. Most of them obviously are in the Seoul area, although there are a few that are spread out in other hubs. You can find details, again, you can download it from our website. And the other thing that we can actually see, and I'm going to see if I can share real quick, is also an interactive directory. So you can go and see these different directories. Let me see if I have it open. I think is right here. This is what you're going to see. So basically, there is a list of all these outposts, and you can go and place it in a map. We got the same for all different regions, and then you can do a specific search if you want to see, all the CDC specifically in a specific industry, for example, right? So that's the interactive use of this. All right. Enough of me talking. Let me just place this back to your face so that we can start talking to you. All right, let me take a seat and let's do a very good presentation of each of you. What I would like to hear is also once you're doing your quick presentation, I'll give you microphones, please. Is this on already? Perfect. So let's start with a little bit of how your outpost is structured. And specifically, one of the things that we haven't discussed here, but we have it in other reports that we have is how the reporting structure of those outposts and innovation department in general is evolving constantly, right? Whether there's a chief innovation officer, or sometimes there's a digital officer within, or sometimes it's still a function that is structured within the business unit. So let's do one by one. Ladies first, a little bit how you're structured and what is your presence here in Korea.
Hello?
Yes. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah. So this is Jung Lee. I'm in the Korea Innovation Center in RNI in L'Oreal. So I just arrived here right before this presentation, so I have never heard about the previous contents, but I'm just explaining about the details of my current work and my organization. So KIC, the Korea Innovation Center in L'Oreal, is the most fast track of the innovation in L'Oreal, as the beauty industry in Korea is the most inspiring. For example, very recently, Seoul just opened in Seoul as a first launch in Asia. So through the K-pop stars and the K-dramas, the beauty industry is buzzing with the K trends. So also the very unique point in Korean market is the home shopping channel. So the mid generation is buying the many cosmetics through the home shopping channel. So there are a bunch of the unique points in the Korean market, the beauty industry. That's the reason why L'Oreal decided to launch the Korea Innovation Center 5 years ago here. And then our organization is the most unique organization in L'Oreal, as we are working as a one team, including the marketing and the operation and the R&D in the same place. So
how many people do you have total?
Around 30 people.
30.
Yeah, in the office. So with a high confidential project, we are working very closely within the R&I and the makeup operation closely with the Korean vendor. The reason why L'Oreal picked Korea as the most fast track in L'Oreal is the vendors in Korea is the most qualified vendors compared to the vendors in other countries. So for example, the global leading ODM is the cosmetics Korea. So they have the qualified standards as even 10 years ago, they started work with L'Oreal. So they know they already qualified with the high standard with L'Oreal. That's the reason why we picked up Korea, that we can closely work with the vendors. There are a lot of the coming vendors in Korea nowadays. So that's the reason why we are working in Korea, and there are a lot of the bunch of the launching project, and already we got the very, very positive feedback here. So that's a reason. But the most important thing is we don't have any plan to increase more. So this organization will be kept like that. So to keep this high speed of the quality and launching the speed, so we will keep our unique format like this. So within this situation, as an R&D point of view, I am developing the technology and formulas and the raw material with the vendors. So yes, I'm not sure that my explanation is helpful for you, but yeah, it's kind of the unique since I am working in the beauty industry.
Good, and we'll hear a little bit more, a few more technical questions there. Let's keep with the introduction. Danny, Orange, you had the pleasure to have you last year already, so we have a little bit of insights about how Orange is structured here, but maybe if you want to give us an update.
Orange is a telecom division. My name is Dennis Samneman. I work in the Orange office in Korea.
You keep turning it off. There you go.
Turn it off. So, no better, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. This is Dennis Samneman, working for Orange office in Seoul. And Orange is a telecom operator located in France, the headquarters, and having presence of like 9 in Europe and 17 in African countries. We have innovation chain of support Orange fab in the world, in almost 20 countries in the world. Mostly they are operating countries for B2C, but here in Asia, we don't have any B2C operation, but not B2B. So I joined in Orange in 2004, since we started our activities here with the market intelligence and the partnership activities. They started work on the open innovation since 2007, but not in this batch mode, but it was like just case by case open innovation with startups or venture companies, how you call it. So, and we launched it in Orange Tab in the 2015 by the strong willingness from the top level management. Our chairman announced that we will accelerate the 500 startups by 2020 or something like that. So that was the moment of launching Orange Tab. But before, my general activities was in a partnership with local companies like a big conglomerates and the medium and small size companies. And now we launched in 2015 Orange Tab program through batch mode. So we recruited like 10 startups each year through 2 batches and help them to go global into our footprint. That is our main objective of this program, to bring innovation from the startup to our business, or we package those innovations to sell to our B2B clients or B2C clients. That is our ultimate goal of this program. So far, we accelerated 72 startups through 15 batches, and we are having like every 6 months demo days, and which is planned on in the next month.
Excellent. Thank you, Danny. And obviously, Orange has been one of the first companies that have been very aggressive in the idea of having outposts of innovations around. We know your colleagues in San Francisco for actually several years. So well done. Similar to SAP to some extent. So as SAP and as SAP IO. So maybe a little bit of introduction about that.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Hyun-seo, and also you can just call me HA shortly. And also, yes, I'm also innovation leader and also advisor at APJ Innovation Office of SAP, which is the largest company in Germany in terms of enterprise valuation. And also, actually, I think it would be great for me to introduce myself first, yes, shortly. And also, I'm leading also business model innovation, BMI through co-innovation, and also at the same time, ESG and sustainability innovations in Asia. And also at the same time, like personally, just I'm a senator and country chair of WBEF, World Business Angels Investment Forum in Korea. And also I'm also personally also investing with startups and also giving also mentoring and also advisors to startups. So these days I have been very interested in also startup collaboration because I also invest in startups, and also at the same time I need to find out some collaboration opportunities. So actually at SAP, I don't know why, but SAP, but in Korea, many people call it SAP. Actually, before joining SAP, just I called SAP SAP. So actually before joining SAP, just I worked for global consulting firms such as Accenture and EY. So that's why I'm not technical expert that much, but actually I'm more focusing on actual business acumen and also CXO communication. So actually at SAP, actually there are also several organizations. Actually SAP is known as ERP and as cloud and platform and a sustainability solution provider. And also we have SAP.io, which is a global accelerator company to invest startups and to make also more focusing on startup collaborations. And also there is another company which is called Sapphire Ventures. Actually, previous called SAP Ventures. It's a kind of venture capital with more than $10 billion AUM. So actually, these organizations actually we work with collaboration together. So actually, and also here I have another role as a kind of chief innovation officer in Korea in terms of Asian region level. Even though I'm based in Seoul, Korea, but actually I belong to Asia region organization. So actually I was engaged in several engagements in other countries like Australia, Japan, Singapore, India, and so on. So I'd like to make more synergy between other countries. Yes.
So thank you. Back to kind of the structure that we were showing. do you both represent kind of Innovation Lab and the CBC? So is part of your office also Sapphire, as you were mentioning?
No, not really. Actually, I belong to SAP officially, and also we don't use CVC that much. But actually, I don't belong to CVC like Sapphire Venture. But actually, I am a venture partner for SAP that year for also entrepreneurship and mentoring, and also startup related collaboration. Yeah.
How many people are part of the office here as innovation?
Yes, actually, it is pretty hard to count at SAP because SAP is a kind of different collaboration culture and also organization. Actually, we work virtually, but actually dedicated person around 50, but actually virtually more than 1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's also all the R&D and
yes,
all
right.
the actual operations.
Yes, global-wise, 100,000 people at SAP. Yeah.
Good. Now we're moving from a German company to another. Dylan, when we were discussing with Deutsche Telekom Capital Partners, very interesting story because specifically you guys are here to look at, in particular, Metaverse solutions. So very excited to hear a little bit of the path of what took you here.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me here. My name is Dylan. I'm representing the DTCP. Actually, DTCP has two acronyms. One is definitely Deutsche Telekom Capital Partners. The other one is called the Digital Transformation Capital Partners. One of the reasons why we have two ways of saying DTCP is because we actually spun out of the CVC, out of Deutsche Telekom. We had T Ventures as a CVC. But we actually came out of the independent VC firm about 7 years ago. Currently, the total asset under management for our entire funds is about approximately $2.5 billion. We have three funding vehicles. One is the private equity that actually invests in digital infrastructure. So, because of the telecom nature, we have a digital infrastructure. We make investment in 5G towers and fixed line and network and so on. We have a VC fund. Right now, this is the third fund we're launching. The second fund was approximately $350 million. One of the reasons why we came to Korea was back in 2019 when we were closing our second fund, and one of the largest LPs was actually SK Telecom. That's why we decided to set up our office in Korea 2019. When SK Telecom has decided to put $30 million into our second fund. SK Telecom has also returned LP to our third fund. We're targeting to raise up to $500 million right now. Right now, so far we closed $300 million with the SoftBank, Telus, there's the Turkey Telecom, and also SK Telecom returning. We also work as a liaison office for Deutsche Telekom to support their innovation scouts. So we have, DTCP has an office in Tel Aviv, Seoul, London, and Hamburg. We also set up a separate office in Luxembourg. That's where the Digital Transformation Capital Partners located. Is that fund is actually making investments independent from Deutsche Telekom. We also have the CVC type of fund where Deutsche Telekom Capital Partners manage. And one of the particular areas that we're looking at right now is the Metaverse. We understand that Korea is one of the most wired and with the very sophisticated high-speed internet connection, both wireless and fixed line. We would like to study some of the interesting use cases coming out of Korea, particularly Metaverse area, so that we can actually take a look, maybe even make investment and form partnership with.
Excellent. So here it comes. When did you open? When did you come here? When was the beginning of the office?
So it was back in October 2019, and one of the major reasons why we were here because we were particularly interested in the Korean innovative ecosystem. We have studied back then that it was born of Naver, Kakao, and Gaon. And one of the interesting about the Korean market dynamic is that none of the hyperscalers has a strong presence. Instead, every strong IT companies in Korea are Korean. And this is very, very interesting use case. We understand that back in late 1990s, Korean government took a very strong initiative to set up the next chapter of Korean economy. What they have done is they made a huge investment to put a fixed line, fast internet speed, and also they make a huge investment putting the 4G infrastructure into Korea. And ever since then, we start to see the Korean companies coming out very strongly, actually kicking out of Google or Facebook or any other companies out there, and actually have a very local Korean presence. And they have become actually quite global as well. With the neighbor, the Line Messenger is being very popular in Southeast Asia. So learning from that history, we want to learn how the Korean government and the Korean startup nurture that system and how we can learn from it, even make investment into some of the Korean startups to bring those innovation into Germany and Europe.
Yeah, and that history actually resonates with me very strongly. At the time I was working with Google, and you knew that Korea was a tough market to get into, and here comes liver and cacao are the norm. So I think there's definitely a lot to learn from. Back to numbers and the reason for being here. One of the questions that I normally ask is, because it's a simplification of what drives us, is what are your KPIs as an entity here? And maybe among those, if you have those pretty clear, give us one or two examples of what you consider a success story. So should we start again from the left here, Lorel?
So of course, our most KPI is the feedback in the market after launching. So actually, I cannot record all the launching history of the product, but the latest one is the in the YSL Ipsum Lohan brand of their franchise. We launched the kind of the pink cushion, the next generation of the sponge cushion. As you may know, in Korean market, from the upright plastic, so we make a very new generation of the compact the makeup product, which is the formula filled in the sponge in the compact. So it's still quite very new in the European and the US market, but still it's very buzzy in the Asian market. So we are looking for the next generation of the sponge cushion. As anyway, the origin of the sponge cushion is by the upright plastic, so our target. So that's the reason why we recently launching the mesh type of the cushion under our name, our title, and then the market feedback is amazing now. So we launched it in the Asia mainly first, so Japan, Korea, and China. And the feedback in China is already this product is the highly ranked right after the second ranking in the whole the compact cushion product. So I think that this one is one of the impressive successful the launching product in KIC.
As back to KPIs, how do you define success? Is that sales?
Yeah, sales, definitely sales and the top ranking list in each country. Yeah.
Okay.
So still we are targeting the luxury market, not the kind of the mass market. So in the luxurious market, we always regularly listed of the high ranking product, and then recently we just found that the new product is ranked in second.
Danny, you mentioned about the numbers of acceleration and filter of startups. What else do you keep inside as your internal KPI? When do you have a good year?
We have a network of oranges in almost 20 countries in the world, and they have their own startups to be accelerated. The total number is reached already more than 600. So we are kind of exchanging between the countries to push their startups into different markets. For instance, some startups in Korea, they may have opportunities in African markets or in Romania or Spain or something like that. So I'm kind of sending our startup to other countries for their opportunity search. And if they have a good startup to be approached in Korean market, I'm helping them to be investigated, reviewed by the local companies, for instance, SK Telecom or KT or LG Plus, whatever. So we have some success stories I can say. For instance, one Braille smartwatch developed by Dot, the Korean company, has been launched in our flagship store in 2019. And another we have local Orange Fair Partner Program, doing open innovation together with some French companies in Korea who don't have any manpower for open innovation. But let them put their logo when we are applying for the new applications and so on. And we are also pushing sharing sharing applications with our partner companies so that they can get the nice innovation that they can bring to their business. So we have one Korean company brought to a French company in Korea for their real B2C market. And now we are doing two different proof of concept projects with one startup here and another startup that here. Thank you.
SAP.
Yes, it's my turn. SAP. Yes, not SAP. Yeah. All right. Okay. So actually, SAP is focusing on more benefitable also real estate engagement. So actually, there are several cases, but in terms of business model innovation with enterprise company, actually, I'd like to talk about Barclay case first. So actually, investment banking, actually, just like startups, also enterprise companies has suffering to find out new revenue streams. And also Barclay has also want to find out new revenue generation with the framework, and also at the same time, they wanted to find out virtual payment. So actually, there's a thing there, we have SAP store, just like Apple store or Google store, but are not popular that much because it is B2B store. So actually, we made also innovation journey together with them based on human-centered approach innovation, and also actually we made it together. So actually for this kind of enterprise level success, and then also we try to replicate into a startup collaboration. So in terms of the startup collaboration case, and then just like to talk about Scandi case shortly. Actually, I shared about it at NextRise 2022 this year. Just after the session of CEO of Yanorja Kim Jong-un 대표님. So at that time, I shared this case. So Scandi is a kind of Switzerland company, and then they became a unicorn for a short time, because they focus on finding out some global companies as a partner, and then they try to reach out to SAP, and then they have a kind of simple barcode scanning solution app, but actually they have more powerful functionality, but not more than that. But actually they focus on, they wanted to expand their customers into global companies and enterprise companies, and then they realized that almost all global leading companies are SAP customers. So actually Fortune 2000, actually 92% of Fortune 2000 customers are our customers. So, and then they try to fit SAP customers' requirement, and then they try to make a kind of output, output structure and data for SAP's data. So, and then they also expanded with SAP, also they expanded to more than 50 countries. So I think that this kind of approach, so it doesn't have to be SAP. It can be Dutch Telecom or L'Oreal and so on. So Orange. So, and then these kind of global companies, so to collaborate with them, and then also you can have a kind of rocket jump up an opportunity. So I'd like to emphasize that you should think about how to collaborate with global companies as a partner, and then for that you need to think about what they really want, but more than that, what their customers really expect, and also what their customers' pain points are. So actually they can be another journey, but I'd like to share about it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Good. Dylan, how about Deutsche Telekom? What are the KPIs in that very subset of activities that you do?
Sure. Yeah, of course, as an investment firm, we're looking for the next unicorn out of Korea, right? Like how Universe is looking at, like the next unicorn.
How's that going?
It's tough, of course. You know, selecting the next unicorn is always a tough job, but at least you know we have made investment into a couple of Korean companies already, making a good progress. So being profitable from the investments definitely our key KPIs. The other one is actually bring at least one, you know, business cases to Deutsche Telekom that would make sense to scale up. Like any CBC, right? We were looking for a partner who can leverage our infrastructure and our customer base to bring to I guess leverage our infrastructures to make your company successful, right? So you get a good product or a good service that you can introduce to Deutsche Telekom. I'm all ears and would like to listen to your pitch and how it's going to fit into our business model to scale this up. And we have a number of tech incubators, seed funding to late stage funding to make this happen. So our key KPIs right now is bring innovative companies that can be consumer ready. We'll help you to build a POC or MVPs that will get into our ecosystem of customers and infrastructure.
All right, so far you kind of refer clearly to the world of startups. The last question that I have here is more for your peers. So for other corporates that are out there, and there are plenty, because we talk to them, that are considering, is that the right time to do what you just did a couple of years ago? Is that, how difficult it is? And in particular, what are the big opportunities to come here? If you are again, IVECO, or other dozens of large corporates are watching online. So here for everybody, pick your turn if you have something specific to add. But what would you recommend to some corporates as to be effective in their first step of defining is that the right time and is that a good fit for us? South Korea now.
Yeah,
cool. Dylan decided.
In fact, I'm participating to the interview session to select the startups for different government supporting programs I can enter. So, is there lots of government support for the startup to help their business development in overseas? So, if some of the audience says like foreign companies would like to do something in Korea, you can find some opportunities with the government entities like KITA or Ubuntu Global or KISET or whatever. And then you can find some opportunities to be involved, to be part of their program. For instance, proof of concept. They are even helping local startups to have a proof of concept of their innovation with the foreign companies in Europe and North America and Asian countries. So that's my small advice to come into the market. Due to the strong support from the government, startups, they can easily create their own startup. But that's not so difficult. Because they can do something. Minimum, they can try their idea into like a prototype in a certain period of time by the strong support from the government. So that is the reason why you can find nice innovations in Korea. For instance, if I bring our innovation into like a global event, like gathering all different already startups from the world, then they find Korean innovation is best. So we have many success stories to that. Thank you.
So, just a follow-up question here, if you don't mind, because the entities that you mentioned, the KISA, the KITA, I don't remember what else you mentioned, but those are entities that are fully focused on startups. Is there any government entities that could be the counterpart? If you are there evaluating today, I am ENI, I'm interested in seeing all the key technologies that come out of the Metaverse. Is there any government organization that you would recommend to be the counterpart of that filter.
In my current knowledge, Kita,
Yeah.
Kita is one of them, because they are working with the Fortune 500 global companies for open innovation. It's one of the daily tasks. And the Go to Global, they are partnering with lots of the global companies to feed their innovations to their partner companies in the global markets.
Good, perfect. Keep that and more to global in your list. Who else? Who else has something to add here?
Sam, on the SAP, yeah. All right, so actually, last week I judged IR pitches of startups in Miami, like in the stage, and then for WBF, like global fundraising stage, and then like I was with also Silicon Valley and also other area like CEOs at the time. But actually, there were like several criteria like business model, team, and scalability and so. But actually, like these days it's a kind of winter season in terms of investment, right? And also, just I was surprised that like also Silicon Valley, like venture capital CEOs was asked like very detailed, very detailed execution of questions, how to make it, how to go further. But even though it was a very early stage, like angel investment stage. So I think this kind of particular and this kind of approach is critical these days. So actually, I'd like to say that if you are digital tech company, and also at the same time, if you want to expand your customer area into medium size or enterprise size, or if you want to go global, and then you need to find out the global companies such as SAP. So actually, my KPI is a bit different from other companies. Actually, other companies' KPIs are revenue generation or profitability. But actually, my role is already more earlier stage. So actually, I need to adjust my focus and KPI is creating meaningful engagement, even though it doesn't make money now. Yes. So actually, we don't call that failure, but more we call that lessons learned. So actually, I need to make a lot of lessons learned. But honestly, actually, I'm not focusing on startup that much. But actually, my personal interest and also SAP's global partnership or strategy is with also startups. So actually, if you want to expand your businesses into SAP customers, and then please reach me up and feel free to talk to me, and then give me your business cards, and then contact me, and also I'm willing to help you if possible. Yes.
Good, and that works for corporates as well. Dylan, you want to add something?
Sure. I think for any foreign companies coming into Korean ecosystem, my first advice is that hire right people, meaning that you need somebody who is fully bilingual. You'll probably have noticed that there's a strong language barrier in Korea. A lot of the startups do not have the right amount of funding to hire somebody who is professionally able to speak English. So doesn't matter, well, of course, having wonderful ideas and execution is important for scouting Korean innovative companies. But at the end of the day, if you can't communicate with the company, how do you see the value? So my foremost important thing is hire the right person who understands the ecosystem of the Korean market. And when I say understand the ecosystem, it's not only knowing what's going on in the trend, but have the right network, right? I like to second Danny's opinion. Work with the Korean government. Korean government actually it has a very unique government system compared to the rest of the world. They make strong seed investment into various projects. A lot of the Korean startups, they don't get seed funding from the VC. They get from the government organizations. There's a lot of agencies, associations that Danny has mentioned. I also know the number of different associations under the Ministry of Science and ICT. There's all different types of agencies and associations under the different ministries. Study them, and then approach to them and find out what kind of projects they're running, what kind of projects they have seeded, right? So then you'll have a vast access to the network of Korean innovative companies, right? When I say also make a right investment, just don't hire one person. Hire the team who can communicate back to you and report back to you. And that's my strong advice.
Great, and it's always a good advice. Not just keep 1 second. I want a clear example. Any of those organizations that you use when you came here, the KITA, the
Sure. So for I'm particularly interested in the Ministry of Science and ICT agencies. There's RAPA, there's NIPA, which is the host of this event.
Yes.
Right. And there's also a list of culture, sports, and tourism. There's KOCA, if you're interested in Korean content. KOCTA is another strong agency that will help you to learn the Korean culture and also a lot of the Korean content, K-dramas, K-movies, and whatever.
So you are talking to them, you keep them as a partner.
Because you have a lack of person who can travel across the country. So then use that government agency's network to tap into their network. That's what I would advise.
Excellent. Anything else to add here?
If I add one thing, for instance, for Orange, we have a different market than the local operators here, like SK Telecom or KT or LG Plus. So we are not competing in the same market, as they don't have operation in European countries and Africa as well. So we are directly exchanging with those operators to have good case studies of the success stories of with collaboration with the local startups. So if there is any of the startup like a portfolio in the collaborating with them, then we are sometimes just copy and paste what they've done already, and vice versa.
Good. Yes, there's something more.
Yes, I'd like to add one more thing. So, recently, I met a lot of CVC people, to give a speech about CVC status in Korea and also open innovation in Korea to also European companies like ABB and also BBL Group and so on. So, and then I met GS, Samsung, Hyundai, SK, American Pacific, and Hanwha, and POSCO and so on. So actually there is a kind of community here. So, and then it's a kind of it's an early stage now, but actually for startups, and then also you need to try to find out CVCs recently because it's a kind of winter season in terms of investment of VCs, but actually CVC want to invest more because they got kind of missions from group, Samsung Group, SK Group, and then group alliance strategy. So I think these days it's really great for you to meet those kind of CVCs and also try to meet them, and then these kinds of people know about them, and then also try to connect them with your network. Yes, that's my another one.
And then we were talking earlier today, the number of CVCs that actually are accelerating here. So they're definitely an active community of the local company. I think we're done here with time. Let me just open if there is any questions here from the audience or from YouTube online, where you can type it there. So maybe time for 1 or 2 questions. Anybody? All right. Well, you're from around here. You want to?
Yes, sir.
Now you to talk on a microphone, please. Or talk from your mic.
Oh, it doesn't have a.
Okay, here.
So I have a question to L'Oreal. So Bioscore recently opened the NX Accelerator in Korea, and then does L'Oreal have any sort of incubation or accelerator kind of plan to collaborate with the startups in near future, or do you guys already have that?
Actually, we already have the many acceleration project internally with the Korean startup, but as it is high confidential, and I'm not that in charge of specifically, but definitely we have the collaboration working with the Korean startup. You can find through the news and some reports. Yeah. that already officially they're open. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, with that, let's give them a round of applause. Thanks for sharing your experience and time with us. I think we're done with a very busy afternoon. I appreciate everybody's support, interest, and time spent in sharing with the community and the people online. Everybody's we're driven through our channels. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.